And we are through conduct of business, and now we'll move on to item 7, comments from council members. First, we're going to hear from Councilmember Mason, and this is in regards to item A, request the staff research approval voting as an alternative election method for mayor and council elections and schedule presentation to the city council from the Center for Election Science. Councilmember Mason.
Yeah, thank you. So I think for this one, this particular item, what really I'm looking for is, as this council probably remembers, when we first started talking about districting, we had a group come in that was from the Center for Election Science, and they publicly spoke at one of our meetings. And since then, they reached out to me and they explained the approval voting system and how it differentiates from the system we have in other systems. At that time, we were having a discussion about our intent to move on with district elections. And I believe at some point, the city manager said that the two may be a discussion that we could have together as we move forward with districting. And so I'm actually not so much asking for staff to research this at this time because we don't really know which way we're going to go. But really what I'm asking for is that staff work with the Center for Election Science and give them an opportunity to give their presentation that they had initially requested to us a year ago, so that we at least have the background and the education to then make a decision as to whether it's something we want to look into further. If it's going to take a lot of time, maybe it needs to be a strategic initiative next year, but at least to get the information up front, and so we start thinking about it and have an idea of what we want to do. So what I'm asking for from council is the approval of asking staff to coordinate a presentation at one of our city council meetings from the Center for Election Science on approval voting, and really just educate us more on what that would look like, what the process is, and who's already implemented this process.
Okay, thank you very much. Council members, let's go around the room maybe once if we could, see if there are any questions to Councilmember Mason on what her ask is. Councilmember Hamilton, thank you. Saw the mic come on.
So yeah, I'm in favor of this. I mean, I absolutely need more education on approval voting before we make any kind of a serious consideration. But from what I know so far, it encourages much more positive campaigning, and which I think would be healthy for our community. There are many examples across the country of very successful implementation. So I think it would make sense to learn more, just so we have all the information to make a informed decision. So I'm in favor.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Yeah, I'm in favor of having a presentation by all means. I think that would be fine. If you go to their website, they have some YouTube videos on it. It gets a little complicated at times, but if you listen through it, my gut feeling first is like, sure, why not? Let's listen, and then we can determine if that's really needed.
Okay, Councilmember Salazar.
It's an interesting theory, and it seems to me more of an academic sort of exercise. In a way, looking back at, I was just thinking at the results of our last election. In a way, it played out very similar to approval voting, because when we do at-large elections, we have multiple seats available, and so people do cast multiple votes. And so in looking at some of the examples and how they play out and how that process works, in a way, we had something that's very similar to approval voting. People approve of two, and the highest two vote getters, and that could be in any combination, which is what you get with approval voting. I guess in approval voting, you could vote for even more people, and that's where I think the public might get a little confused in terms of really understanding, what happened. I didn't vote for those two people. I don't know anybody who voted for those two. How did that work out? And I think in some of the alternate voting methods, that ends up being a problem where people don't understand the implications sometimes of some combination of voting. And so, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, for me, I think I would be a little more interested in seeing how things play out after we have districts. And if we're going to get broad participation, but I've seen in other surrounding communities, once they go to districts, they might get one or two candidates in each district, in which case this would have absolutely no effect. We would still be doing the same old thing. There's only two people voting, I mean, two people running. You can't cast more than one vote. So, would it be worth the effort to go to a different system where it's not necessary? So I would actually recommend that we wait and see how things, how the dust settles after we're in districts, and then see if there's a need to do that to change the method. But if there's no problem, then let's not try to fix it. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. I won't repeat, but I kind of share a lot of some of the sentiments that Councilmember Salazar just articulated. I won't. You don't have to hear me repeat things. So, but at this time, what I'm writing down is we wanted to wait for the district process and have that, so we don't add additional confusion on other things. And we have 3 that wish to have staff look into, request that staff research the approval process and have a presentation to the City Council. Am I correct in what I've stated, Vice Mayor Medina?
I just want,
Vice Mayor and then Councilmember Mason.
Yeah, I'm in favor of receiving a presentation from the group and not having staff really have to do anything at all. It's just basically a presentation.
Yeah, okay, that's what I apologize. That's what I was trying to correct at the beginning. I do agree that it should just be staff really contacting them and inviting them to come and do a presentation where we can learn more about approval voting.
How about
that's what I was approving as well.
Okay, so if I said something like request that staff reach out and have that group make a presentation, that would probably mean, and staff can correct me, would mean a special meeting. Because we don't want to, as you know, our calendar is getting full for this year, but that we are not looking for staff to, like what I've just heard.
Yeah,
not having to research, not having to put staff reports together and all that. I know staff would probably say, however, it's going to have some of our time taken, and that can't be helped. So, but I'm hearing the majority that is correct, the way it was just modified.
Yeah, I would say looking at today's agenda, just a presentation would be fine. And so I would say staff scheduling, and I would even go as far as to say if it can fit into one of our future agendas, it doesn't have to be a special meeting. I don't want to box staff in so much to have to do that. So up to their discretion, but just to schedule the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think that did that in pretty good time. Councilmember Mason, though, is there anything else that you have and that you wanted to say under council comments? And colleagues, if there's anything from you, if you could raise your virtual hand so we can get around the room. Anything else, Councilmember Mason, for tonight?
And I'm trying to find, if you can come back to me. Let me just find the information.
Okay. Any other council members? Okay, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wanted to repeat a request for the volunteers that are needed at our school sites for supervision during noon, especially. If somebody has the ability to do that, that would be great. You can call the district office or any of the schools that are any of the nearby schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Mason.
Thank you. I just want to remind the public that there is a vaccination event on October 16th at Bel Air from 11 to 2 p.m. And that's going to be for the first dose. And there's a second dose vaccination event on November 6th. So again, Saturday, October 16th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and it's going to be at Bel Air. Walk-ups are welcome, and as always, appointments are preferred, but they'll take walk-ins. So if you're not vaccinated yet, you can still get your vaccination. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple things for myself, and then we'll adjourn in memory. One is I attended the state in Sacramento, the California League of Cities conference, and that was where the voting delegate. That was on September 22nd through the 24th. Of course, there are general sessions, the opening sessions. There's breakout sessions throughout the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Friday, then occurs the voting delegate, and then the installation of the new officers that have come on board. I want to say that it was nice to go. It was nice to get back because it was very hot in Sacramento and walking back and forth to your hotel. A lot of steps, but too much heat for the mile walk each way. So, and there were, I will say we had other folks, when I say other folks, other of our neighboring communities that had 2, 4. And also I heard of, they get per diems and they get gas and the toll, which we pay for all of that. So I appreciate what we do because, we do give of ourselves on that too. Also, there was a San Mateo County Economic Recovery Roundtable on September 29th, which I attended. It's virtual. But what I did attend in person on October the 1st was the Eagle Scout ceremony. And that was for Troop 4172 of San Bruno. What was really interesting and unique about this one, it was the inaugural class, not just in San Bruno, but around the areas, for young ladies to become Eagle Scouts for the first time. So there was Katie and Kylie, who I met, listened to their speeches, and I think our future is in good hands. But it was very nice to be a part of that, present them with certificates of achievement, and being asked to speak and learn and meet, and it was exciting. And had you heard their speeches, you'd be very proud of these young ladies. It was great, and they are part of the inaugural class. Okay, with nothing else, what I would like to do is adjourn in memory of Norman E. Dunham. He was born on May 9th, 1937, and passed on August 28th, 2001, at the age of 84, from San Bruno. And so he passed away on that Saturday. And in his early years, he worked in a sawmill. After graduating from Hillsborough High School in 1955, he joined the Navy in 1956. He was an electrician out at Hunters Point Shipyard. After his service, he was a patrol officer here in San Bruno for 20 years. And during that time, was a frequent Destruction Derby winner across multiple years, where he was known as Stormin' Norman. So you can see you can see Stormin' Norman on the left with our old decals and city logo. And so it was important, and this was brought forward to me by the chief, which I appreciate, San Bruno resident, a gentleman who served our nation, and certainly protected the community of San Bruno for 20 years in our presence. So on behalf of all of the city and the city council, I would like to adjourn this meeting in his memory. With that, I appreciate everything tonight, and wish everybody the best, and we will adjourn to the next regular city council meeting, which will be held on October 24th, 2021 at 7 o'clock. Good evening. Good night.